Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special edition of One Vision. This is Theo, your host for today's episode. Now, joining us today are Shanker Ramamurthy, Global Managing Partner of Banking and Financial Markets, and he leads IBM's consulting practice for our industry, and also John Duigenan, General Manager of Global Financial Services, who leads IBM Software and Tech Focus for the financial services industry. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Pleased to meet you, Theo. It's an honor.
It's nice to meet you both too. So let's talk about something that is going to be happening later this month. I think everyone and anyone who is in our industry will know it is Money 2020 time. Now, the theme this year, predictably, is human X machine. It is no longer a question of whether or not financial institutions need AI. I think we're past that. But now the question is, what use cases should we focus first? How we can best scale the technology. Now, I know IBM has a series of sessions that are planned for this year's Money 2020. So to kick us off, John, can you share with us perhaps a sneak preview of what we might expect from Carrie Coons' keynote on Monday morning?
Well, Gary Cohn is going to be sharing how IBM is moving through our financial services industry. Of course, he's a legendary figure within the world of financial services and also played a role in the previous government as an advisor. IBM's position as a company is a hybrid cloud and AI company, and we go to market through consulting, technology, and our ecosystem partners. Gary is front and center in how AI is transforming industries and how IBM is working with our clients. So I fully expect Gary to speak to the kinds of use cases that our clients are using to transform their businesses. Use cases like customer experience, employee productivity and digital labor, and of course, a big area where we see enormous productivity improvements, application development and IT operations. And so I'm sure Gary will be sharing stories about IBM's journey and how we're working with our clients. I'll be certainly looking forward to listening to him.
Same here. I marked it down already, Monday morning, 28th. Now, if I may, talk about this word that everyone talks about. I cannot stop talking about is generative AI. It is the hot topic of the year. One of IBM's report had indicated that nearly 80% of GenAI initiatives in the industry are pilots and proof of concept, which is great. We're testing something out new, but only 8% of institutions have a company-wide strategy. So I understand that Maya Wilson will be taking the stage at Money 2020 to talk about how institutions can use GenAI to perhaps mitigate regulatory risk. So, John, can you tell us a little bit more about what we might expect from that conversation?
So I happen to love the topic of regulatory technology and compliance as a whole. Every single one of our clients, despite spending, cumulative billions over the last 10 years, is still struggling with regulatory compliance, mostly because it's a business process that is heavy with AI, but not artificial intelligence, actual intelligence. So very heavy. I think of the systems within regulatory compliance as being eyeballs, brains, and hands that do typing. In order to make sense of regulatory technology, you have to think about what's written in regulations and policy and extract that either with actual or assisted by artificial intelligence into a set of obligations that need to be performed by a firm. Those obligations are implemented through controls, and a control might be a human process, it might be a technical process, it might be something preventative, and that process from end to end consumes thousands and thousands of hours in every single firm. We don't have to replace the humans. We have to help the humans do that work much, much more efficiently. And so when we think about regulatory compliance, The opportunity is to take out millions of dollars of cost from every business. Of course, any client who wants to do this needs to be able to do it in a way that's trusted. And so part of IBM's value proposition here with generative AI and watsonx is that we surround what we do with trust. Trust in terms of how models work and are built, how models perform. And that gives our clients an assurance of them being safe in their use of AI. The opportunity in regulatory compliance is vast.
You just mentioned my favorite word, trust. I think that it is a cornerstone of our industry, and it's something that we need to base everything on, right? Because trust is something that takes time to build, and we can easily lose it if we're not careful, especially when it comes to applying technology and layering everything on top of everything that we do. So Shanker, I want to pick up on one of the points that we just talked about, the fact that nearly 80% of GenAI initiatives in the industry are pilots and proof of concepts, but not all the institutions have the strategy in place to take advantage of it. I wanted to hear from your point of perspective, will that number move? What do you foresee in your crystal ball in the next 3 to 5 years?
Oh, it's not the next 5 quarters. Let's talk about
Oh, okay.
We're starting
Awesome.
Q4 now and the rest of 2025. So our study did show that 8% of financial institutions are actually implementing generative AI on an enterprise scale, and about 80% of them are doing pilots and proof of concepts. So, our view would be over the next 5 quarters, pretty much 80% of financial institutions are going to be implementing enterprise-wide projects and initiatives using generative AI. In fact, it's not even optional. I'll tell you this. I've been in consulting 30 years. I haven't been more excited about a technology ever before as I have been by generative AI. So everything to do with customer and agents, everything to do with efficiency, everything to do with risk and regulatory compliance. Importantly, everything to do with the software development lifecycle. Generative AI is providing an extraordinary amount of boost and productivity. So it's not the laggards and the leaders. If you're not in the leading edge, chances are you're going to get left behind. And we see the whole industry kind of lining up and accelerating down the path of taking advantage of generative AI. I can't wait to see the kind of impact that our clients are having worldwide in this space.
And if I just sort of build on that a little, Shanker, I mean, as you noted already, generative AI technology is pretty much available to every firm. It's a technology that, despite being very, very new, is already democratized. That said, I think there's a lot of challenge around how firms find scale in this space. So how do you choose the right model? How do you train a model? How do you trust a model? How do you ensure that the quality of the answers being generated are what you need them to be? We've already seen some great examples in other industries, and so there should be caution. However, I mean, I still think that even though it can be a challenging thing to establish a center of excellence within an organization that creates the processes for adopting generative AI at scale, those firms that don't do that will be at significant competitive disadvantage. I think we're already seeing some firms move potentially so far ahead that others may struggle to catch up. And this is going to keep me watching and influencing what happens with my clients over the coming 5 quarters, as you said, Shanker, because we want our clients to win in this space. We must help them win.
So I think
beckons bright. The future beckons bright.
The future is bright, and just hold on to your seats because the next 5 quarters is going to be exciting. Yeah?
Completely.
Some of the best conversations happen when we have clients on stage to share their experience, how we're using the technology, how we're deploying it. I don't think you can get a better testament than actually having someone who's implemented it to be on stage to share that experience. And you had mentioned, John, driving efficiency is one of the key things that all the organizations are looking for, and undoubtedly top of mind for everybody, with AI sitting squarely in the middle, helping humans and helping us do our job more efficiently. So Shanker, I'm going to give this question to you. I know that there is a new joint research from IBM, IBV recently that came out with buy-in. Can you tell us a little bit more about that research and what we might expect to hear from you at the sessions?
Sure. So if we step back and think about what these exponential technologies, hybrid cloud and particularly generative AI are doing, they're fundamentally enabling our banking clients to address the competing objectives of revenue growth, efficiency, and risk management, right? And we've talked about a couple of these themes already. And with RBC, what they're doing, what we've helped them do in treasury and cash management, is to entirely reimagine that from a customer back standpoint. Now, when you look at the macro backdrop, the piece of work that we did together with Bion Banking Industry Architecture Network.org, it's a .org brought together by some of the largest banks around the world, along with the ecosystem of partners. We did a piece of work looking at the SME space, small medium enterprises space, working closely. In fact, we had expert input from the SME Banking Forum, the arm of IFC, which is part of the World Bank. And the question we posed to ourselves is, what are the opportunities in the SME space? And is there any gap between what the SMEs are looking for and indeed what financial services are offering? Fundamentally, three main insights from that piece of work. More when we are on stage on Sunday, the 27th, talking about our findings. One is access. SMEs are having difficulty getting access to financing. Worldwide, the funding gap is about $5.7 trillion. Let me repeat that number, $5.7 trillion. The second aspect of it is affordability. When SMEs actually do get access to funding, the interest rates they pay are much higher than the corporates, because there is a kind of a risk premium or a risk gap, the inability for financial institutions to understand their risk. And the third aspect is alignment. We actually interviewed over 1,000 bankers and several thousand SMEs, and there's a very clear opportunity gap between what SMEs want and what financial institutions are providing. So that's what the study talks about. And we launched it in Sao Paulo at the G20 SME Summit. And the report was really well received. Steve Van Wyck, the chairman of Bion, and I will be on stage on Sunday talking more about it.
I can't wait. SMB is one of my passion topic areas. It is a backbone for our economy, for our society, not just the US, but beyond. And I think there's a whole lot, right, that we can do for small business owners and help them not just get access to the credit that they need, but get access to the products and services that they need. So I cannot wait for this. And I can't wait to meet you both in person. I look forward to it. So if we do need more information, I trust that we can share all of the locations and logistics in the show notes. But until then, Shanker, we will see you on Sunday, right? And John as well. So thank you so much, both of you, for joining us on the show, and look forward to seeing you in person.
Same
Cannot
here.
wait.
Thank you.